The time is now 6 p.m. Good evening and welcome to the August 10th, 2026 legislative session of the Salisbury City Council. In the event of an emergency, please remain calm and exit through the double doors you came in. Make a right and proceed to the stairwell. If the hallway is blocked, then exit to the left, around the corner and down the stairs. Please do not use the elevator and let us know if you need any assistance. At this time, we ask everyone to silence their cell phones. Before we start this meeting, I would like to say, as I say basically at every meeting, there will be respect. We will be cordial to each and every one. This is a business meeting, and this comes from the council table out to the constituents. We need to be respectful about everything we say and do here today. And I would greatly appreciate, and I'm quite sure everyone, including myself and the council and everyone out in the audience, would agree with me. So as we begin this meeting, I would like to introduce our new Deputy City Clerk, Coretta Marshall. We will now do the pledge to the flag. Melissa?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will now have invocation by Pastor Greg Morris, Parkway Church of God.
Thank you again for the opportunity to open up this august meeting with a time of prayer. Gracious and sovereign God, we come before you tonight grateful for this city, for every person that is in this room who has given their time, their voice, and their labor to serve you well. Your word tells us in 1 Timothy 2 to pray for those in authority, that we might lead quiet and peaceable lives. And so tonight, we lift up this council, the staff, and every constituent who will be affected by the decisions that are made here. Lord, you tell us in James chapter 1 that any of us who lacks wisdom, that we need only to ask, and that you would give it generously without finding fault. So we ask boldly tonight for wisdom to see beyond the immediate noise, wisdom to listen well before we speak, wisdom that seeks what is good for the whole city, not for just one side of the room. We confess that there are differing opinions and convictions, and it's easy to assume the worst of another. So we ask that, according to your word that teaches us in Ephesians 4, that you would help this council and help our community to make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace. Not a unity that pretends there's no disagreement, but a unity that refuses to let disagreement become divisive. For every city employee who feels unseen or unheard tonight, we ask for leaders with the heart of Micah 6 and 8, leaders who will act justly, they will love mercy, and they will walk humbly. Let no one in this city feel like a number on a budget line or a voice that cannot be heard, but let everybody be treated as those who are created in your image. And for every resident who is anxious tonight, whether it be about their rights, about their voice, about their trust in this process, we ask for the peace that is found in the promises of Philippians chapter 4, a peace that guards our hearts, a peace that guards our minds in the seasons of uncertainty. And leaders, we pray, that would be willing to explain the why behind the decisions that are made with patience and with clarity. Lord, where there is chaos, bring order. Where there is suspicion, bring truth spoken in love. Where there is fatigue, we ask for renewed strength. even now. James 3 tells us that the harvest of righteousness is sown in peace by those who are peacemakers. So let this be true of this council and this city tonight. And we ask your blessing over every decision that is made in this room, both tonight and moving forward, that it would be marked by integrity, by transparency, and by genuine care for the city that we serve. Blessings and favor come from you, and we ask these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
And amen.
Thank you so much for that mighty prayer. We will now have a flock presentation by Chief Mindshine.
You. Nope. Thank you, Council President. Council. Appreciate the time. I wanted to take a few minutes to explain our flock safety program. Before I begin, I'd like to take a few minutes to provide context about Salisbury Police Department use of flock safety technology and why we believe that it's an important tool for our community at this particular time. Our primary responsibility is to protect our residents, respond to calls for service, investigate crime, keep the public safe, and like so many law enforcement agencies, we face challenges in recruiting and retaining qualified personnel. Our officers are being asked to do more with limited resources, and we have an obligation to find ways to work more efficiently without compromising the quality of our investigations or the service we provide. Flock safety is one of those tools. It provides our officers with the timely investigative information, the leads that can help solve crime, recover stolen vehicles and property, as well as assist in moving investigations forward. It's important to understand what this technology is, what it can do, but most importantly, what it cannot do. The system captures information about vehicles observed in public space, including license plates, visible vehicle characteristics such as color and other unique characteristics, along with other time and location, the vehicle observations. Our cameras are located on public property and monitor and capture images on public space. They do not monitor or capture images on private property or areas where there's a reasonable expectation of privacy of our citizens. The system does not use facial recognition, does not identify drivers or passengers, does not continually track individuals' movements. It does not determine guilt or replace an investigation where an officer's judgment is paramount. We also understand that the use of this technology raises legitimate questions about privacy, appropriate use, accountability, transparency, and the public trust. Those concerns are important to us as well. Our use of flock is guided by Maryland law, departmental policy, auditing by the state of Maryland, and carries stiff penalties for unauthorized use, including termination of employment, fine, and incarceration. Since implementation in Salisbury, flock has assisted our officers with investigations involving serious crimes. Only 75% deployed. It includes sex offense assaults, carjackings, robberies. It has also assisted with recovery of stolen vehicles and investigations involving missing persons. Our staff will provide additional information on specific examples during tonight's presentation. Our goal tonight is straightforward: to explain why we use the technology, how it supports our officers, what value it provides to our community, and what it can and cannot do. Also, the safeguards that we have in place to protect our citizens' privacy. At this time, I'd like to turn the presentation over to members of my staff from our Criminal Investigation Division, Captain Ryan Kerner and Lieutenant Brandon Caton. Both have a direct experience with the department's implementation and use of the technology and we'll walk you through the program, how we use it, and the safeguards in place. In addition, we have made copies of the 10 most prevalent questions, which also appear in our transparency portal that was launched just a few days ago. And I would encourage those that have not had a chance to view that, please do so. Now I'd like to turn this over to my staff members for the presentation. Captain Kerner.
Good evening, Council. Captain Ryan Kerner, Commander of the Criminal Investigation Division. I'd also like to say good evening to members of our public who came out tonight. First thing I want to ask is, first things first, for those, I believe many members of the Council have been there, but for our new website, I'd like to just gauge how many people have actually been on our new website and downloaded our new app.
New app? All right, there we go.
All right. Well, that's our barcode. Everybody can scan that. That's the best way to get to the Flock Transparency Portal. But, you know, a little bit of a shameless plug here. So we're just trying to get people to download the app because there's a lot going on there. We put out press releases through that. There's a lot of updates and whatnot. It's just another medium to follow besides our social media. So to get there, once you get on our website, you go to the More button. Click on the More button. It's also there in our app as well. Go right into the app, Flock Transparency Portal. What will happen is when you click that button, a link will pop up, and it'll bring you to the Salisbury Police Department Flock Transparency Portal. That's exactly what it looks like at the very top of the page. So I just ask everybody to go there when you have an opportunity. This is what the Flock Transparency Portal looks like. This is not a sales pitch by Flock. While yes, they did help us put this together, we are the ones who are actually editing it to put out all the information that's on there for full transparency. We want the community to know. The community has a right to know what the system can and cannot do, just like the chief said. There is a tremendous amount of misinformation out there, particularly on social media. I don't know what's driving that, but there's a lot of misinformation out there right now. So to start off, what it does. So what does our Flock system do, and what can it not do? The devices we lease, first and foremost, are not capable of facial recognition. Not only do we not use it, they're just not capable of it. Flock does not use facial recognition technology and equipment. The equipment utilized by us is not capable of audio monitoring or recording. That's another thing we've been following a lot. A lot of people seem to have a big concern over that. It's not something we do, and it's not something our technology has a capability of doing. There is no switch to turn these capabilities on either. Our systems just don't do those two things. We do not use automatic tracking of persons or vehicles. We do not use AI to identify or track individuals based on race, gender, or any other protected characteristics. The Salisbury Flock system does not and cannot search for characteristics of human beings. The Salisbury Flock system does not conduct any search without any prompting by Salisbury Police Department personnel, and the only reason they would do that is for a legitimate law enforcement purpose. So what they do are automatic license plate readers, also known as ALPRs. They detect license plates, vehicles traveling on public roadways. We do use AI-assisted searches that are only conducted by SPD personnel for vehicle characteristics only. But this is no different than typing into a Google search a red Toyota Corolla or something of that effect. It's the same concept. So our PTZ cameras, these are cameras that just merely capture video and are placed only in public areas. And they help deter crime, they enhance public safety, and they have been great in assisting with our ongoing criminal investigations. Our PTZ cameras have absolutely no capabilities that go beyond your local retail store's monitoring systems. There's nothing special in them other than we're able to zoom, we're able to pan them, or we're able to tilt them. It's inherent in their name. In order to look for someone or something for a legitimate law enforcement purpose, we need descriptions and times provided by victims, witnesses, and traditional investigative means. Again, there's no facial recognition in our PTZ cameras. There's no facial recognitions in our ALPR. So continuing with that, again, I can't hammer down more than there is no facial recognition technology or software. Flock doesn't use it. We do not and cannot search for characteristics of human beings. We do not conduct any search without prompt by an authorized Salisbury Police Department employee for a legitimate law enforcement purpose. And the AI is just, it's assisted searches that are conducted by our personnel for vehicle characteristics only. If you take a look at that picture to the left, that is our search block that we're able to search through our ALPR system. Again, it's only tag and license plate data and vehicle data. Solely, type of vehicle, color of vehicle, the license plate, make, color, etc. So a lot of people have a question now, what is a hot list? It is a list of license plates associated with a legitimate law enforcement purpose. When a vehicle license plate is detected by an ALPR, authorized personnel receive alerts. Examples of why a vehicle will be on a hot list would be a stolen vehicle, stolen license plate, perhaps the vehicle is associated with a wanted person or a missing person. The information is entered into the system by the investigator or authorized Salisbury Police Department personnel after vetting, and it is only vehicle data, again, year, make, model, color, and license plate. No personal information whatsoever is entered into our flock system. A hot list notification alone also does not provide personnel probable cause or the authority alone to stop a vehicle. Everything has to be verified and vetted by an authorized employee before any enforcement action is taken. So what is an ALPR capture? Just this, a photo of the vehicle and a license plate. And this is exactly what we get on our alerts. So we want to talk about the numbers. And this is directly from our transparency portal. This is updated daily. Direct from our transparency portal. The data in the video is retained only for 30 days unless needed for an investigation. Our full rollout plan is to have 40 license plate readers and 40 PTZ cameras. We're about 75 to 80% deployed now. You look down at that number, that big number, 195, 699, that's unique vehicle detected, is how many registration plates our ALPRs have just read in the last 30 days. That's it. That's all that number is. Number of searches. So it says 235 up there. That's how many searches our staff have completed in the system in the past 30 days. Hot list hits speaks for itself. 444. So in the last 30 days, when we did this, we're working on this presentation. When we pulled this snippet, it was 444 hot list tags had gone through our ALPRs for a variety of different reasons. Missing persons, wanted persons, stolen vehicles, stolen tags.
Captain Kerner,
Sir.
that doesn't count as a search then, when it hits and you either make an effort to get that person or
A
you...
hot list hit does not count
Okay.
as a search.
Okay.
So that's just a notification that our investigators are receiving. So what does the law say, and what about our data? Maryland law requires the data that is collected by the Salisbury Police Department can only be used for, again, and I know I've said this a lot, legitimate law enforcement purposes. The data cannot be sold by us, and the vendor cannot sell it in accordance with Maryland law and our contract with the vendor, and in this case, it's Flock. Access is strictly limited to authorized SPD personnel only. We have what is referred to as a closed system. No outside agency or organization can access our system. We can and do help other police agencies when they call and they need our help with an investigation, but they do not have access to our system, even if they have Flock themselves. ALPR data is also not subject to disclosure through the Maryland Public Information Act. So if your tag has gone through an ALPR and your vehicle has, that doesn't mean someone outside of law enforcement is going to be able to access that information. So again, on the transparency portal, what are we searching? Okay? You can actually view what our investigators and what our staff are searching in terms of date, time, and what type of case. This backdates 30 days. So remember those searches I told you, it was in the 230s? you'll have a list going back 30 days. What happens is when you go to the site, you hit download CSV, an Excel spreadsheet will populate on your computer or should be on your phone as well, and it will give you that data right there. It allows us to do a public view in terms of what our staff is searching, but it also, the data that we're providing does not compromise the integrity of any of our investigations. So what we can't do, this again is taken right off our transparency portal. We cannot provide information to federal law enforcement for immigration enforcement, nor can we use our system in any way for anything to do with immigration, in accordance with Maryland law. We cannot use the system for any enforcement based on race, sex, religion, or any other protected characteristic, nor is our system even capable of doing that. We cannot use the system for personal reasons or for non-law enforcement purposes, and I know that's a big public, there's a lot of people saying things online, on social media, that's a big concern. Purposeful or willful violations of this policy will, and I say that again, will, not may, should, or could, but will result in disciplinary action, up to and including termination. Employees violating this policy are subject to being criminally charged and face up to 1 year in jail and up to a $10,000 fine in accordance with Maryland Public Safety Article 3-509. That is a lot to face if you use the system improperly. All access to the system requires a documented, legitimate law enforcement purpose. Every system query is logged, and audit records are retained indefinitely for accountability and yearly oversight by the Maryland Coordination and Analysis Center. So we talk about success stories. We have several. However, and these are all, again, they're on the transparency portal, and these will be periodically updated. But I'm gonna take you back to June of this year, just about 2 months ago. We had an attempted carjacking. Suspect went up to a victim, tried to forcefully remove that victim from that victim's vehicle. That victim fought back, and the suspect ran. And people said, oh, well, how did you catch that individual without using facial recognition by using your PTZ cameras? We did it the old-fashioned way. We asked the victim, what did the suspect look like? What time did it happen? What were they wearing? Which direction did they go? And that's how we used the description of that suspect and started looking at the PTZ cameras. Same as if we were in a retail store and using their video surveillance system. Another highlight, we got a call from the Wycomico County Sheriff's Office on the 4th of July. An elderly woman with some health issues had taken the family car. Family reported her missing, and they contacted us, and we were able to identify that her vehicle had traveled through our LPR systems, and we were able to locate the vehicle, and in turn, we were able to locate her. And she was reunited with her family. For our deployment strategy, I'm going to let Lieutenant Caton go into this and explain that.
Good evening, everyone. Up on the board here, we have two maps. On the left, you'll see our current deployment plan right now, and on the right, you'll see the crime data for 2025 for the city. Obviously, if it's yellow, orange, or red, it's a little bit of a area with higher reported crime. This is crime that's been reported to us. There's a case number. There's a legitimate investigation that goes along with it. You can see where they are on the map in accordance to where the flock cameras have been deployed so far. And over on the left-hand side, you can also see like what is a PTZ, what is an LPR. We do have 2 camera trailers that we can move around. They're indicated by the red. But everything we've done so far was to try to mirror the crime statistics that we have. You can go on our city website. We have a 28-day planner, and we have it goes back to 2018. So you can see the crime statistics for the city all the way back to 2018, and we try to use that data. You won't see a whole lot of changes. They tend to move a little bit here and there, but it stays fairly constant. But these are the crimes we used. We didn't just use any crimes. We used the Group A offenses that are reported to the federal government every year, the big crimes that we're required to report, murder, sex offenses, robberies, burglaries, arson, your assault, fraud, thefts, your MDOPs, your malicious destruction of property. Those are the crimes we used in this map. These are the ones that are documented on there. The ones on the right, your trespassing, vagrancy, curfew, loitering stuff, disorderly, your DUIs, liquor law stuff, none of that was included in that crime map. It was all excluded from the crime map. So I know we tend to have calls for service like that, but we don't map them like that because they're not considered Group A offenses, like the most serious of the offenses. So we tried to keep that separate. Now, currently, about 75% of our deployment are in public areas on major roadways. We don't have a lot in residential areas when it comes to PTZ cameras. There's a big footprint downtown. The Riverwalk is covered from one end to the other now. I know that's been a very serious conversation that the councils had to have with safety barriers and stuff like that. So we did what we could to deploy the flock cameras. The Riverwalk is covered from one end to the other now. Like, it is on video surveillance for safety purposes at this point. And there's another big footprint of cameras downtown as well, because we hold a lot of our special events, folk festival, the marathon, Third Fridays, things of that nature where we have a big crowd. We just want to make sure everybody is safe, and God forbid something did happen, we would have the information we needed to come to a quick resolution. So one of the other questions we keep getting is, everybody thinks of a camera that's going up as a flock camera. Not everything is a flock camera. So these are what our cameras look like. The one all the way to the left is the PTZ camera. You'll see a lot of them downtown on the Riverwalk. All of our cameras are solar powered, so that means we do have the ability to move them pretty easily if we need to. If numbers shift one way or another, we can move. So to the left, you have PTZs. In the middle here, you have the LPRs. Again, all of our stuff is solar, very easy to move. And to the right, you have the camera trailer. That's actually a picture of it deployed downtown. These cameras are not everywhere, and if they don't look like this, they're not a flock camera. I know there's a lot of people seeing cameras go up, a lot of businesses, a lot of private businesses and other entities are putting cameras up, but they're not ours. Doesn't look like those three, it doesn't belong to us. And this is another shameless plug for our app and website. I'll help anybody who needs downloading while I'm here.
Members of the council, do you have any questions?
I just wanted to clarify, for people who are worried about any officer can just go to the site and find anything they want and do anything, it's my understanding that based upon the guidelines, there is a lot that they have to enter, an investigation number, the reason, et cetera, et cetera. So it's not something that can just be accessed if somebody feels like accessing it, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. And even if there was an excessive amount of a search, let's say you do have one of these instances that everybody's seen on the internet, right? Like, we'll just face it. If somebody's in there looking for a loved one or a significant other and it's excessive, we'll be alerted immediately by the system because it's an abnormal search pattern. And it would go to me being the administrator, and then we would be able to handle it appropriately. But there are safeguards that would alert us built into the system of any abnormal search. But if you don't have a case number and you don't have a real reason, you can't really get past the gate, right? So.
A lot of people have had questions about exactly how are the areas chosen to place a camera. I'm understanding that it's driven by crime data, but I just want to make sure that that's true.
Yeah, so the crime data map is really how we started it, right? And then when you get into the nuances of city property, egress, and ingress into the city, it was very difficult finding a place. It's not just I walk down the street and we pick a spot, right? Like, the city doesn't own a lot of infrastructure like we would believe. So it gets really tough when you get into some of these areas to actually have a place. So a lot of it is crime drives us to an area, and then when you get in there, you have to really look at the nuances of what does the city own, what is public property versus private, because you want to protect people's private rights and stuff like that. So it is a layered approach. It's not just one single thing. Crime really was the biggest factor. You know, I would say it's probably 85% of it. And then you start getting into utility stuff, ADA compliance. We've run into some issue where broadband has been a problem, where wires under the ground, utility work in general, and then private versus public property. I just can't put it in your front yard and say, hey, look, I want to put it in Miss Blake's front yard. It doesn't work like that. So finding places that the city owns and can maintain has been part of that process too. So it's not just one thing. It's a very layered approach, and that's kind of why we're like at a little bit of a standstill now, is we're running out of places that the city owns that we can put a camera legally and lawfully in a place that's going to be useful to the public.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we discussed, when I came to see the presentation before, a person or one of your officers misusing that apparatus. What would be the extent of punishment that they would get for doing it, and how would you find out that they were actually doing it? Because I think the public needs to know that as well.
So, Ms. Jackson, there is a mechanism built into the flock that, as Lieutenant Caton had explained, that there's a self-audit. It basically catches it, right? So, and again, no system's perfect. But what I can tell you, and I think Chief would agree with this, that if someone abuses this system, if they go in and they have malintent, they go in, whatever the case may be, they want to find out who's going to the grocery store or doing whatever in their family or a loved one. I can't imagine a situation where that officer or that employee does not get terminated. They'll have the rights to have an internal investigation just like anybody else. But if we find out that they've altered information to get inside that system, whether it be through a fake case number or just putting in false reasoning, it's no different than when we use the National Criminal Information Center information. If someone's in it with bad purposes, I can't imagine a situation where they're not going to be terminated at the very minimum. And again, there's criminal penalties to this as well. You can be charged. You can face up to a year in jail and a $10,000 fine. So,
Thank you.
I want to thank you all for your presentation. There were several of these in my district, so I think having this for the public was great. So thank you.
welcome.
I just want to bring up, because I don't think you guys actually mentioned this in the presentation, but one of the things that I had been asked about quite a lot was about the Ring cameras and doorbell cameras. A lot of people have been concerned about you guys being able to access it through this system, and that's just not possible, correct?
Correct. So like anything with Flock, or it kind of different models. It's like buying a car, right? Like you can get a low-end model or you can get the high-end model. We don't have the high-end model. And anything that the Flock system could connect to, in theory, it would only do it with permission, right? So if we had that model, which we do not, that could go along with, security cameras or whatever, we would still have to seek permission from that homeowner, right? Or the person who owns the camera, a private business or whatnot, they would have to give us permission. It doesn't just do it automatically. It's not autonomous like that, where it's just taking over someone's surveillance system.
And that's a written permission. So it's more or less an MOU, like a member of understanding with that particular individual. But again, we're not there. We don't have that type of contract with Flock.
Thank you so much for this presentation.
If I could just say one last thing,
Sure.
Council President. What we'd like to do is come back, once we're fully deployed for a period of time, come back to you and share some more success stories and see what type of impact this has had on data, what type of impact it's had, not just necessarily on the numbers of crime, but also the solvability rate. So how many cases has it actually resulted in charges or positive conclusion of a case?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
We now have presentation and adoption of the agenda Can I get a second, a motion and a second to approve the legislative agenda?
So moved?
Second.
Ms. English?
Good evening, council. I just want to echo what you said earlier. I am thrilled to have Coretta in the office now. So on the agenda this evening, we have one resolution on the consent agenda. We have an award of bid. We have several items for declaration of surplus. We have one resolution that is actually an annexation resolution. We have 5 ordinances, and then we convene in work session.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. We will now have the consent agenda. Can I get a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda?
So moved, Sharon.
Second, Michelle.
Ms. English?
We have one item on the consent agenda. It is resolution number 3478 to appoint KT Tuminello to the Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee for term ending August 2029.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. And could Mr. Tomanello please stand?
He's out. Oh, he's okay.
Yeah, he's here, yes. This is Mrs. Tomanello. Thank you so much for joining this committee. We would hope to see some more people join our different committees. So we thank you for wanting to be a part of the city of Salisbury. Thank you.
He's in my district. Thank you to KT.
We appreciate every time somebody comes in and steps up and wants to be on a committee, and we do appreciate you. And everyone else who is in here that is on a committee. Award of bids. Can I get a motion and a second to approve the award of bids?
So moved?
Second.
Who was that? Angela?
Angela.
Okay.
Michelle.
And Michelle. Okay. How are you?
I'm doing well, busy, very busy. So I only have one award this evening, and this is for fire department and part of finance, actually. The Department of Procurement seeks award of bid approval from the Salisbury City Council for the solicitations as defined herein. The Department of Procurement followed required procurement policy and procedure as defined by the City of Salisbury Charter and Municipal Code of Ordinances for the procurements presented below. RFP A 26107, this is the EMS billing services for the city. The scope of work is to provide emergency medical services, billing, and collection services for the fire departments. We released bids in March. Bids were due in mid-May. We had a total of 6 proposals, a very lengthy review. The recommended vendor for award, Emergency Medical Services Management and Consulting. They're actually our incumbent. Their estimated annual service fees are $102,000. This rate is way down from 5.2% the last time we tried to negotiate this contract. It's an initial 5-year term with 5 optional 2-year renewals. And that was a strategy from my office to enact kind of a longer-term contract for that. So every time the fire department, I think it was last council session, they did their look back. Every time somebody calls an EMS and they ride an ambulance, they bill Medicare, Medicaid. This is the company that deals with all the billings, all the AR collections and all that.
Thank you.
Excuse me?
I said thank you.
Oh, okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Declaration of surplus. Can I get a motion and a second to approve the declaration of surplus?
Sharon?
Second, Melissa.
All right. The Department of Procurement seeks surplus property declaration approval from the Salisbury City Council for the items contained herein. Pursuant to SC 16-8, sale and other disposition of surplus, obsolete, or unused property of the Salisbury Charter, I'm requesting approval of the City Council to declare the following items as surplus. We have a police service dog known as Bolt. I always laugh about this, but in Maryland law, dogs are property.
Not surplus.
Yeah, it's a funny property thing. I had 3 vehicles, and Dee hit me late in the game with another memo, and I forgot to update the header there, but we actually have 5. And we have 131 non-conductive taser training cartridges. They have a shelf life. So disposition of the items. Bolt will retire to his handler. The vehicles will go to a local auction, and the training cartridges will be disposed, destroyed according to police chain of custody.
Okay.
How old is Bolt?
He was 7.
Is he 7?
7. He's
Yeah.
been with the police department, I think, 7 years.
Yeah, Chris Denny was his handler.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just curious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Short life expectancy.
Right. Do you want him?
Oh, of course, I'd take it in a
I
minute.
heard he's a handful, so I don't know if you want that.
He fit right in with the other 3 I have.
Oh, God.
He did a good job, though.
Yeah. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye.
Thank you, council.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lowe.
Resolution number 3472, North Shoemaker Drive annexation. Can I get a motion and a second to approve resolution 3472 for second reading?
So moved. Angela?
Second, Melissa.
Okay, Ms. Boucher?
Good evening, council. Resolution number 3472. This is a resolution to annex certain land to be known as the North Shoemaker Drive annexation, as described in the property description and annexation plat attached and incorporated as exhibits to this particular resolution, consisting of 12.870 acres more or less into the city of Salisbury, and to provide for the terms and conditions of the annexation. So this resolution is before you tonight for second reading. It has not been changed or amended since it was presented to you on June 8th, 2026, which was the evening of the public hearing. So to be clear, this means that Resolution 3472 provides that the zoning map of the city would be amended to include this particular property within the zoning district that the city has identified as R10A residential. Now, with Council President Jackson's permission, I'd like to take an opportunity to review this procedural history and what is exactly before you tonight.
Sure.
Okay. So on June 16th, 2025, this matter was presented and introduced to City Council during a work session by DID. At that time, our city planner, Zach White, informed council that the city had received a proposal from this particular developer of R8A residential zoning. The proposal was to include a plan for 60 townhome units. At that time, council gave consensus to move it forward. On September 22nd of 2025, this matter came back to council for a second work session. This followed the Planning Commission August 21st, 2025 meeting, in which the Planning Commission recommended an R10A zoning designation. So DID brought it back to council to request direction on the zoning designation because city staff at that time and the Planning Commission had a different opinion on the appropriate zoning designation. Council requested more information. So it came back to council for a third work session on November 24th of 2025. And at that time, council gave consensus to move it forward with the Planning Commission recommendation of R10A based upon council's conclusion that the 2010 comprehensive plan was older and that there was a need for more housing. So the next time it came before council was for first reading at a legislative session, and that was on May 11th of 2026. During that period of time, from November of '24 to May 11, the resolution that is before you tonight, 3472, and the annexation agreement, which is attached as an exhibit, was prepared. And also, the county council had prepared a resolution approving the zoning waiver of the city for the lands of the developer and approved the zoning designation of R10A residential. After first reading, there was consensus by council to move it forward to the public hearing and for second reading. The public hearing was held on June 8th of this year, following the publication. Before there was a vote for second reading, the council had discussion. And at that time, council did not vote to pass Resolution 3472 at second reading or vote to amend it. Rather, it was tabled to determine what would be involved in changing the zoning designation from R10A to R10S. Following that discussion, it came back to council for yet another work session on July the 13th of this year, so that DID and legal could provide updates. I informed council that council was free to change the zoning designation from R10A to R10S, but it was not as simple as changing Section 5 of the resolution. Section 5 of the resolution is a section that talks about the zoning designation, because two exhibits would also need to be amended, specifically Exhibit 5, which was the site plan, or is the site plan, and Exhibit 6, which is the annexation agreement. Both would have to be updated, and the matter would need to go back to the county council again for a new waiver. This was confirmed by Mr. White at that time. As Mr. White also informed you at that meeting, it would require the developer to submit all new plans. Following that council discussion at work session, it appeared that there was consensus not to amend this particular resolution to change the zoning designation from R10A to R10S, and that the resolution was to come back for a second reading with no changes or amendments. So that brings us here tonight. Tonight is before you for second reading. If the majority of this council believes that the zoning designation should be changed from R10A to R10S, in my opinion, you cannot amend the resolution tonight at second reading. Rather, you need to vote it down. Should the developer wish to move forward with annexation with the R10S, the site plan and annexation agreement would need to be amended. The matter would need to come back to council for a completely new resolution for a first reading. A new notice of public hearing would need to go out, because if you look into the agenda, page 11 is, actually page 21, I'm sorry, sets forth the publication of notice for the hearing, and it said specifically for a zoning designation of R10A. So we would need to put out a new public notice for a public hearing with the potential new zoning designation, and it would need to go through the process before this council again. So again, you can pass the resolution tonight as is, or if you can vote it down and, let the developer know that you're interested in the R10S, which would require the process to start before this council. It does not need to go back before Planning Commission. They would need to go to County Council for a new waiver, and the process would need to start over again before this council. Does that make it where we are clear?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any questions?
No.
Comments?
Thank you for the clarification.
How do we see this moving forward? As it is?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to know. Okay. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And the chair votes aye. Any opposed? I do want to say that. And the chair votes aye. So the annexation is now at R10A. Thank you. Ordinance number, I think I better put my glasses back on. R3010, Laura said R30, ordinance number 3010. Can I get a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 3010 for second reading?
So move, Sharon.
Second, Michelle.
Okay. Okay, Ms. Boucher.
Ordinance number 3010, this is an ordinance of the city authorizing a budget amendment and the transfer of stormwater utility pay-go funding from the Northwood and Burrington project to the city's Park Phase 1 project, and the amount of that is $160,000. Before you tonight for second reading.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Ordinance number 3011, can I get a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 3011 for second reading?
Sharon?
Second, Angela.
Boucher.
Ordinance number 3011, this is an ordinance of the city authorizing the mayor to enter into grant agreements with the U.S. Department of Transportation, Federal Highway Administration for the purpose of accepting grant funds to support the cost to implement and upgrade sidewalks in the city and to approve a budget amendment to allocate funds for the purposes of implementation.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Ordinance number 3013, can I get a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 3013 for second reading?
So moved.
Second, Melissa.
Ms. Boucher.
Ordinance number 3013, an ordinance of the city authorizing the mayor to release general funds in the amount of $5,587.99 and to approve a budget amendment to the general fund to appropriate these funds for the Salisbury Fire Department. This was in reference to a legit payment received by the city for damage to a training vehicle.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Ordinance number 3014, can I get a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 3014 for second reading?
So moved.
Second, Melissa.
Ms. Boucher.
Ordinance number 3014, an ordinance of the city authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with the Wycomico County Health Department for the purpose of accepting sub-granted funds in the amount of $667,471.12 to be used for the salary and benefits of a Swift healthcare clinician.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Ordinance number 3015, can I get a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 3015 for first reading?
So moved, Sharon.
Second, Angela.
Ms. Boucher.
Ordinance number 3015, this is an ordinance of the city authorizing the mayor to reallocate pay-go funds from the St. Peter's Main Street project and the Shoemaker Pond project to the City Park Master Plan project.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. The time is now 6:52, and we will now be going into, I will call to order our work session. Ordinance authorizing a budget amendment and the assignment of previously approved FY 2026 stormwater utility pay-go funding for the purchase of an aquatic harvester. Mr. Taylor, Mayor Taylor.
All right. Yeah, we have been locally trying to treat some of the local waterways, and what we found to be the case is that, for example, in the river down by the park, we've got a lot of algae bloom, a lot of buildup, a lot of lily pads. Same thing in the Shoemaker Pond. We've got, buildup, and where chemicals won't treat them by themselves. This is a different. We've had one of these before. I think council's aware. This is not the same thing. This is a machine that's about half to 2/3 of the size, half the weight, and it's amphibious, so it doesn't require a launch to go out. So it can go right off on the land. So we're hoping that it's going to have an impact on We'll have there'll be an excavator component to it. They'll have a bucket associated with it. They'll have a dredging equipment associated with it. So we'll clean up the edges, clean up the lily pads, and do the maintenance that needs to be done in a lot of these waterways that haven't been done for years, literally years. And I think we'll get a better result when we couple that with the chemical treatments. So that's and this is coming again from the stormwater funds.
It can also be utilized for cleanup of garbage in the river down in the Prong area or down on the river walk.
Council
Okay,
President.
does the council have any questions?
I do.
Councilwoman Holly.
So I have done, working at an environmental institution, I've done a lot of research on this, and I can't support the purchase of this. There are only, from my conversation I've had, I believe there's only 2 water areas that need this. It feels like in a time like this, our monies could be spent better with a contractor to go out and do this for a cheaper amount at least twice a year, considering where it is. So I personally don't think, we need other things more importantly, such as a trash truck. We also have other things within the city that we need. So I can't support the purchase of an aquatic harvester to be used very rarely. I've been told it's like a bobcat. There's still training, there's still storage. It just seems like to me it's not a good use of city money, so I can't support the purchase.
Well, okay, good.
Wait a minute. Oh,
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Councilwoman Blake.
Okay. I do remember the other vehicle we
Yeah.
had, and there's so many stumps in the pond that the harvester at that time, couldn't work, it didn't work because the stumps were catching it. The stumps are pretty high and they're all over the place. So I don't know about this particular piece of equipment, but I'd be cautious about it because the one we did have did not work. And we do know that there are a magnitude of stumps, tall stumps in the pond. The other thing is, Salisbury University's Environmental Studies program has offered to come out to do some testing, seasonal through we've talked early on about this 3 years ago. And
I think we have tested
So-
one. Okay.
so we can find out exactly what we need to be treating. Because there's a combination of things there that the chemicals that we're treating it with aren't hitting what's actually going into the pond. And that's a piece of the puzzle. So I'm wondering if we can utilize resources that we have so we know exactly what we're treating before we buy a piece of equipment of this magnitude.
Well, go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Any other council member?
Yeah, Councilwoman Blake, I'm sorry, Michelle. That's kind of where, looking at it from an environmental standard, it's so much cheaper to bring in a contractor to actually look at all that too and to see what can be done rather than buying a big machine that we don't even know is going to work for it.
I was going to bring up the SU, so I'm glad you did, because I think that might save us some money with the contractor, even if we can get SU to come out and do that for us, and do the testing, then we can just talk to the contractor about what the testing shows we need. So like, I'm kind of of the same mind where I know that the other one did not do the job because of the issues with the stumps and things like that. So I don't think this is a great idea.
Councilwoman Shields, do you have any questions?
I was just going to say, do we need more information on this before?
Yeah, I'd be happy to go out and get some pricing. I can tell you this, that
Across the board.
one of the companies that we talked to, they also did the service, and they were willing to come up and just do, they do it, but they're like $2,000 a day. I mean, so what we need is a kind of a comprehensive, we need, several days worth, not only days, but weeks of work around the river. We're actually doing the pedestrian bridge right now. I'm looking over the water, and it's literally gunked up with years of, so, I'll be happy to get some quotes, but if it comes in at $30,000 or $40,000 just for the one component, and we have to do it every year, I'm not sure that's value added. But the reason I did the research on this was because it is smaller. The other one was way too big, and it wasn't amphibious, so we couldn't even get into the river down by the park. So we've never been able to do that in the last 25 years. So I I think that's the purpose of doing stormwater funding is for stormwater and for the waterways, and so I thought that would be a good solution. We've got guys that operate, this is not a marine engine, it's a diesel engine like a Bobcat. It has just basically a couple of levers, and not that it doesn't require some training, and they offer training if we want it. But that said, I think we can use the dead time in the fall and the spring to do some really well, I think, articulated cleaning and maintenance of the river and the ponds that we desperately need, which I think would be far too expensive to have a third party come in.
Councilwoman DeShio, I'm not interested in any or more information about the aquatic harvester. I'm going to stand by what I said, and that's just my opinion, but no, thank you.
And I kind of stand there too, because as Councilwoman Holland has said, we're sitting here saying we don't have money for this, that, or the other, and then we're spending money on things that right now should be spent. And I will stand my ground on this one. No, I don't agree with us having a aquatic harvester right now, and I know the benefit of it, but to spend that kind of money right now, when we have just shunned a whole lot of other projects and things, and now we're at this point now where we don't have money, now we have money. We don't have money, now we have money. I'm confused. Do we or don't we?
Well, let me explain that a little bit. So, could Sandy come up here? So, the stormwater money is not to be used for general funds. That's for use for stormwater. And so, that's earmarked specifically for that. I think we've got several $100,000 in that.
So during the FY26 budget, we had $300,000 that we put to the project fund, but at the time when Andy Kitzrow was here, we said we didn't know what projects we were going to allocate that to, so we designated $300,000 to go into the project fund from the stormwater. We collect over $1 million in stormwater fees on the real estate tax bills every year. Typically, we put $300,000 aside for projects. In FY25, we didn't put any money aside for projects, so we had $300,000 for FY26, and that was unassigned. And we said once we figured out what projects we would do, we would come back to council and ask if we could use the $300,000 for those projects. So this was one of the projects. This piece of equipment was something that administration had shown interest in, so that's what they wanted to. I think it was like $120,000, so we were asking for $120,000 out of the $300,000. So right now, that money is sitting as unassigned. So if we don't get this piece of equipment, we still have $300,000 that's unassigned.
Right. And I'm sure there are other things that we can use
use
this
it
on.
for stormwater projects.
Okay.
Yeah. And,
Yes, for stormwater.
Hold it,
Oh, sorry.
Hold it, Mayor, excuse me. And it's actually for stormwater management.
Stormwater, yep. Some of the other things we've bought in the past with this money has been for impervious surface, and we still have money sitting in that account. Also, we've bought stormwater sweepers with this money before, and for FY27, we've only allocated $60,000, and that's for pond maintenance.
So this money can't be used for anything but stormwater.
Stormwater, that's it.
Well, I'm confused. Is there a reason we can't leave the money there in the event that something comes up? I mean, I'm not quite getting this mentality of, oh, we have to spend it.
Yeah, we can leave it as unassigned. We just don't have any projects assigned to
So
this
something
yet.
could come up that we could use it on. I can't support this. I don't think this is it.
Yeah. Well, I've been in office for 3 years, and we've never pulled the trigger on one because we thought we could treat it chemically, and we've been trying to clean it. Mike Dryden will tell you, it just hasn't worked. And it's not a week that goes by that I don't get a call from somebody in Shoemaker Woods, or Shoemaker, that's concerned about the pond there. If you look at the river down at the park, it's just not impressive. So I'm just trying to say, hey, listen, I think this might work. This might really have an impact. Certainly would have an impact. It could be wrong, but I think I am.
Sandy, I have a question. So in what he's referring to, the money's available. Could that same money be used for someone to come out
Yeah.
and do it the correct way without this machine? Okay, then I'm fine with it, as I said.
Okay, where does the council stand on this?
I'd be happy to do that. We can do that.
Okay, do you give consensus to move this forward? Or-
No.
Well, consensus is no. Okay,
Thank you, Sandy.
I think I'm gonna leave.
I did.
For the document.
Okay, everybody, I call for the
Was
consensus.
it unanimous?
Yes, uh-huh.
Thank you.
Okay. We have resolution to repeal SC 23, Charter Amendment Resolution Number 2026-3 to amend the Article 23 of the Charter authorizing collective bargaining by repealing Article 23 in its entirety and abrogating all collective bargaining rights. Okay. Ms. Boucher, you want?
This is going to be Miss English. She has a presentation.
Okay, go ahead.
So I received a letter on July the 31st from Dion Church, the Wacomico County Board of Elections Director, and I just want to provide some of the information on that letter. Following full signature verification conducted in coordination with petition guidelines, it is determined pursuant to Maryland election law that the petition satisfies all requirements. Below is the official tally of the signatures processed. The number of signatures processed totaled 7,503. The number of valid signatures totaled 5,818. The number of invalid signatures totaled 1,685. And finally, with 5,818 confirmed valid signatures, the petition exceeds the statutory requirements pursuant to Maryland election law. Please accept this certification for the official municipal record so that the matter may proceed to the mayor and/or city council as appropriate.
You want to add something? Go ahead.
I assume you want to know, like, next steps?
Yes.
Okay. So pursuant to the state law, because the petition is sufficient, your options are, as a legislative body, to specify via a resolution to schedule it for a general election. I think, Ms. English, you can confirm, but we've been told that there is no opportunity for a special election. So if you wanted to let the process play forward, it would be scheduled at the next general election. This would be on the ballot. Alternatively, you could pass a resolution deciding not to put it on the ballot, and that Article 23 would remain in the charter as is. So those are your options.
I'm sorry, can I point something out, though? My question is this: there's not much in the charter or in our rules of order to speak on motions to reconsider. It defers to Robert's rules, which say that it needs to be held on the same day as the original vote, if not the same meeting. And then at the state level, Section 4-306 of Local Government Article of the Maryland Code states, rescission of proposed charter amendments are amendment prohibited. After a resolution is adopted by the legislative body, a proposal to amend a municipal charter may not be rescinded in any manner except by another charter amendment. It is, my reading of that is that it has to go to a vote. It has to go on the ballot. So, I mean, I think if we, if we do another resolution, I think that's going to be called into question legally, I believe.
Well, Michelle, my issue, and I have to agree with you on that, is look, the work was done. They got this, all the signatures were gotten. They put in the work, right? And to me, it needs to go to the ballot. It's the citizens' decision at this point. It's not any of our decision at this table. They got the votes.
Yes.
They did the work. They were out there in the heat. They got the number of signatures. You can't discredit that. No matter how you feel about it, at this point, we need the decision to come from the citizens of the city of Salisbury, and I think there's no other choice but to put it on the ballot.
And I agree. I concur. They did do the work. And it's nothing that we can say, not a thing, not one thing we can say. They got out there and they delivered.
Yep.
And
I agree.
we just have to take it. I mean, you take the good with the bad, the bitter with the sweet. We take it, we got to take it. They did what was required of them, and they followed the law. They followed the rules and regulations. And so I'm in the same predicament as Melissa is.
Yeah. You know, I mean, I thought about it, yeah. And I mean, I'm not sure that everything, we got all the information we needed in the beginning, but take that aside, what's done is done.
Yeah.
And so now we move forward and let the citizens of Great Salisbury let us know how they feel.
Yeah. I mean, and my thing is, this is one thing, I might be out of order. I hope I'm not, and I hope I don't. What happens to our general employees right now?
So, well, the code should stay in place.
Yes.
Right,
Uh-huh.
correct. Okay,
Yes.
the code should stay in place until the election.
That's, yeah.
So it should be arbitration?
Yeah.
So
Okay, that's all I wanted to know, because I just want to make sure that everything that they're being treated fairly as well.
Absolutely.
So there will
Yes.
be a resolution pursuant to Section 4304 that you need to pass saying that it's going to be scheduled for the next general election. And in that resolution, we need to put the exact text to be placed on the ballot. So that's
Okay.
what needs to be passed.
Oh, that's great.
All right.
Thank
Okay,
you.
That's
Sounds
great,
good.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, that's all we need to know. We appreciate what you did it, and you did it well. We have no quorums. I don't anyway.
Can you text that, screenshot, text that to me?
Okay, now we're up for council discussion. Yep, we're up for council discussion, and what we're gonna discuss today is the council proclamations, and how they're going to, we want them to be done, and the format that they should be done. And, it's just like we're giving out proclamations, and none of the other council members are knowing about it. And what we want to do now is, before proclamations are given out, the entire council is notified. All council persons' names will go on that proclamation. Everybody's name goes on there, so it's just not one person's name. That includes myself as being the president. I just don't want my name. I feel as though everybody's name should be on there, because we represent the council. So, does anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns about the proclamation?
Who is that would be, the request would be submitted to?
The request will be sent to
Julie?
Julie,
Yeah.
and Julie will pass it on to me. Therefore, she will send it to every council member
Okay.
from this day forward.
And Council President, I think that's great. That's the way the county always did it. Everyone signs the proclamation. I think it makes it look better than just having the council president's signature, whoever that is. So, thank you.
Can I ask what kind of timeline we're looking at for these two? Because I know before we've had some people like ask at the last minute, and I've always told them, sorry, like that's not enough time for the clerk to get stuff done. So
Well,
what time, I defer to
Julie.
Julie as to what timeline she would like to know by.
but now she's got some help.
Oh, see, now,
Correct.
reprieve over.
Julie, what timeline
What timeline are you looking
are you
at?
looking at?
So currently on the website, it states all proclamation requests
30?
must be submitted at least 4 weeks in advance of the requested
That's what
completion
I've always
date.
told people, so like, yeah, okay.
That's for proclamations.
Right.
All others must be submitted at least 2 weeks in advance. So if you want to do like a certificate of recognition or something like that.
Right, gotcha.
But I do want to stress that they really should all go through the website, through that form,
Yeah.
rather than through email, because then you provide all of the information necessary for us to do what we need to do.
And another thing, the signatures, Julie, if Julie contacts you to put your signature on it, we can either do the
Electronic signature.
electronic signature, or, but that is entirely up to you if you can't make it in. But we do want to have everyone's name, every council member's name
That's not a problem.
on that proclamation, and I hope everybody is fine with that, just to keep things in decency and in order. And how does everybody feel? Go ahead, Julie.
I just wanted to ask, can we put like a timeline on when the council should get back to me that they
Sure,
approve it?
that's your timeline, that's your timeline.
I would
You're the
say,
one who needs to know.
I would say within a week.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine.
And Julie, I would say, what I found before, it's sometimes helpful if we have a council meeting, that if you know if we have some upcoming ones, just lay them out for us and everyone can sign so you don't have to chase people around.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's how they used to do it anyway. We'd
Yeah.
bring them and they would sign them, but this is something that we really need to take care of. This is just one little small thing that we really needed to take care of. Because I just don't want, even if my signature's on it or anybody else's, we just don't want to exclude the council. Everybody, it's 5 members up here. It's not 1, it's 5. So we should be included in that.
Are there any other recognition, ways of recognizing someone besides proclamations? Do we need to address that?
Citations and
I would say they
certificates.
should.
They go the same.
Proclamations and citations are
Or the
basically
same,
the same
same.
thing.
It's just
so
smaller.
same
And it's just the certificates then,
Yeah.
otherwise.
for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 weeks for citations.
Please.
No.
Certificate.
Certificates.
Certificates,
Yeah.
2 weeks, and proclamations and citations 4.
So is everybody fine with that?
That's good.
Yes.
And while we're on the subject, are there any limitations as to who should get a proclamation? Are there certain topics you want to do, just so we can do that while we're talking about it?
No.
Okay.
I'm not getting into that. No, I don't think we want to get into that. No.
No.
I agree.
I just think everybody knowing, we'll be signing it, so we'll all know
Yeah.
what they were.
Yeah.
Right.
If a council member does respond that they don't approve it, do we need 3 out of 5 to move it
Yes.
forward to be
Yes.
done?
Yes.
Okay.
And all 5 signatures are on it, all 5 names are on it.
Yes.
But you're saying if only 3 wanted to sign it, the other 2 are left blank?
No, I was thinking we would need 3 out of the 5 to agree to move it forward, to have it completed, have
I
it
honestly
done.
don't think that anybody would be that selfish to do that.
No, I hope not.
Yeah, I can't think of
I
a
would hope
reason
not. No, I
we
wouldn't.
wouldn't.
No, because
What?
most of matter of fact, every one of our proclamations have been community organizations and events. So I don't think it would be anywhere that we could even, it could be a discrepancy. We just need to just get it signed, and I don't think, it could be a vote if they don't want the names to go on there, but I just don't think, I don't see it happening. I just don't.
Let's hope not.
Julie, are you thinking of something that would,
There's just a very wide variety of topics that can come through.
And somebody might not agree with.
Yes, that someone may not feel it's relevant or worthy or whatever. I mean, I don't think we should acknowledge every 10 years someone's birthday.
Oh, no.
Just stuff like that.
oh, no.
No.
Every 20 years, someone's anniversary, or sometimes they can be ridiculous.
Just events and organizations.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
or like-
Somebody that
holidays,
has a 100th
organizations.
birthday, yeah. Somebody lived 100 years, I sure would love to give
Right,
them.
absolutely.
I'd like to give them 100 proclamations.
Right.
So milestone.
I just want to know what their secret is.
Yeah, kind of use your own discretion, too.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Okay.
But I don't, yeah.
Okay, so now we're here at the point of public comments. You have 4 minutes, you will be timed at 4 minutes. Please be respectful in your comments, be cordial, and just mention your name and the city that you live in.
Good evening, Council. My name is Monica Brooks. I live in Salisbury. I'm also president of Wacomico County in AACP, and I did want to thank Chief Minchin and his team for the presentation. I thank him for responding to the questions that we had. We had also a very good conversation about it. I have also shared with him, in addition, one of the things that we're going to be pushing for, because one of the one of the things that I shared was that within the parameters of the flock system, there are other areas that can be explored, but Chief Minchin is choosing not to.
Yes.
For his group. However, should someone else come along and choose, you know what, guess what, we do want to do that. And those are things we are definitely not in favor of, and we don't think it's for the greater benefit of our community, especially about building community trust and ensuring that the different populations and vulnerable folk are being protected. So we would love an opportunity to make some suggestions at some point, just kind of do a little back and forth discussion about possible ordinances being placed around the parameters of this flock system that are outside of where we are, because it is far reaching. I don't know how much you've explored it, but there are options and places it can go that we absolutely, it would get so horrible that could lead us to a litigious situation, I would say. So we would love an opportunity to make some recommendations to council on ways that we could put some of these parameters around to protect the citizens. I've spoken to Chief about that as well, and we're going to have some conversations. So I'm just kind of giving you a heads up now about that possibility. But at the end of the day, we still are always going to be greatly paying attention to how technology is being used and how is it benefiting or not benefiting the community. And we're always going to be watchmen on the wall. So that's what our job is, to do what we can and also to collaborate. So the last thing that I want to address is you all, unless you've been living under a rock, have become greatly aware of just how horrendous things have gone in relation to what ICE is doing and how they are stalking people in these neighborhoods, how they are waiting for people to go on their lunch hours at Purdue, Mountain Air. People go to lunch and they're scooping people up in droves and all of that. And we're not seeing that coverage being shown through the media. We're not hearing about it, and I'm very, very disappointed in the fact that when you consider the Haitian community who were invited here and recruited here to come and to work and build families and build lives and all of that, and those same people and organizations and companies that invited them here and welcomed them here and sold them a bill of goods have done nothing to stand up for them. These are our neighbors, these are our friends, these are our family members. So have a heart. And certainly if you want to know some things on ways that you can help, you can contact NAACP. You can message us to our Facebook page. And my last comment is please vote. If you're not registered, get registered. And if you are registered, actually go or actually get a mail-in ballot and do your due diligence. You cannot complain about the system if you're not contributing to the system. Thank you.
You have no say.
Good evening. My name is Jack Hughes, and I am a proud union representative with AFSCME Maryland, Council 3. Tonight is a significant step in our fight to keep our city workers' freedom to collectively bargain. Months of advocacy and solidarity from workers across this community have gotten us to where we are now. Together, shoulder to shoulder, workers and members of this community demonstrated the firm belief that the city workers of Salisbury deserve to have earned the freedom to collectively bargain. Every day, through intense heat or rain, believers in this cause engage with this community to make certain that our workers would not lose the freedom to collectively bargain. We thank the community for standing behind us in this fight. Thank you for answering your doors, speaking at community events, and listening to the workers on why we need the freedom to collectively bargain. Thank you for signing the petition to preserve our freedom. We want to thank our union siblings at the IAFF, WPLU, IBEW, and countless groups from the community for standing together in this fight. We have demonstrated the power of solidarity And now we continue to work into 2027 to fight for our freedoms. Over the course of next year, we will continue to build upon the work that we have accomplished. We will not stop until the last vote has been cast on Tuesday, November 2nd, 2027, to fight for our freedom to collectively bargain. We have already demonstrated what we can achieve when we stand together and fight. It doesn't matter whether someone is a Democrat, Independent, or Republican. The people of this community stand with us and share the same values we do. Workers deserve to have a voice on the job, the freedom to join a union, and the freedom to collectively bargain. We will fight and we will win.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ruth Baker. My husband and I are residents of Granby's Cove in Salisbury. Thank you for this opportunity. Regarding Resolution 3472, I'm sure you will understand that we are disappointed by the outcome of this vote. However, I'm even more disheartened by the inconsistency, confusion, and lack of transparency that got us here. Here's how I've experienced it as just an ordinary citizen. On June 8, during a second reading of Resolution 3472, and after a public hearing, the City Council voted unanimously to rezone the North Shoemaker property from R10A to R10S. This decision was consistent with the original zoning recommendation made by DID in August 2025. How do I know this? A, I was there. B, an email from the city clerk to my neighbor, Carolyn Wolgemuth, the next day confirmed this decision, and I'm quoting the city clerk. I have spoken with Ms. Boucher and DID this morning. You are correct. Council gave unanimous consensus for legal to amend the resolution and zone it as R10S. Fast forward 5 weeks to the July 13 City Council meeting, and council members now assert that the vote to rezone did not actually happen and no steps have been taken to implement the rezoning, which, yes, involved resubmitting various documents and going through a process. That was clear from the beginning. It seems like this should be simple to resolve by consulting the public record of council proceedings. No city council meetings have been posted to the website since March 23. Also on July 13, both the mayor and council members alluded to meetings that they continued to have with the developer, and the developer was given airtime before council to advocate for his project, with the mayor noting his 25-year relationship with the developer and lauding him as a quality person. Where is the accountability in this process? Who is being listened to? Who is being represented? Who is benefiting? To cap off the confusion, 2 weeks later, at the July 27 City Council meeting, a council member claimed that it was not possible for council to have voted on June 8 to rezone because legislation cannot be changed during the second reading. This not only defies common sense, why have a second reading and a public comment if you can't change anything, but was also proved to be incorrect after consulting the city charter. The legislative packet for today, August 10, contains no mention or documentation of the June 8 vote to rezone. My perception as a voter, taxpayer, and resident is that the decision-making process and communication around the North Shoemaker property has been opaque, inconsistent, and privileged toward the developer. It has been eye-opening for me. For the sake of maintaining public confidence in our governance process, I hope that it has been eye-opening for you as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Carolyn Wolgemuth. I'm a city resident and a resident of Granby's Cove, the adjacent property to the annexation property. Following the June 8th public hearing, council agreed with constituents and voted unanimously to amend Resolution 3472 to reflect zoning designation R10S. You then tasked City Attorney Ashley Boucher to do just that. At the July 13th work session, Ms. Boucher deceived you when stating that it was not possible to amend the resolution because it would require some effort, changing some documents, a couple words here and there, which we already knew. This was classic gaslighting. During that same session, work session, Angela Blake deceived you by stating that a resolution cannot be amended at the second reading, a claim she verified with, again, Ms. Boucher. This, too, is classic gaslighting. Ms. Boucher and Ms. Blake have colluded to gaslight the city council and the public and the citizens. Ms. Boucher knew that you most certainly could amend a resolution after the public hearing. Why else would a public hearing be required or part of the process? And she knew that you cannot legally rescind that amendment during a work session because per city charter, a work session is not a legislative meeting. I, as well as others, spoke about this during the July 27th legislative session public comments, as it was our only opportunity to speak to you directly before the second reading and vote tonight. Additionally, I and others have emailed you the requisite city charter citation, section SC 211, that directly refutes Ms. Boucher and Ms. Blake. Did you read it? Despite a specific request that you acknowledge receipt of my July 31st email, I did not receive even one bare acknowledgement. And so we are here tonight. You just ignored the city charter, and you voted to approve the resolution without the R10S designation that you unanimously voted for on June 8th. My neighbors and I followed the process. You, all of you, did not. Your vote tonight on Resolution 3472 has shown a bright spotlight on your gullibility to accept Ms. Boucher's and Ms. Blake's patently erroneous claims, your failure to follow the city charter, and your negligence to follow through with your votes. I am incredibly disappointed in your flawed decision tonight. This is why people don't want to come to council. You do not listen to citizens.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. My name is Jared Chabline. I'm a resident of District 3 and the initiator of the petition to save collective bargaining for our first responders and city workers. Tonight, I want to take a moment to thank the amazing people of the city. In just 37 days, we, Salisbury residents across all 5 districts of every single background, came together and successfully petitioned this issue to the ballot. We finished with 5,818 valid signatures, 1,782 more than the required number. More people signed this petition than voted in the entire 2023 city elections. 1,000 residents in each of your districts signed this petition, and that happened because people worked hard to make sure that their voices could be heard. Members of the Salisbury Career Firefighters, ASME, our police officers, community volunteers, and residents knocked over 10,000 doors. They walked Salisbury neighborhoods in extreme heats. One day it was, 104? They gave up evenings and weekends because they believe so strongly that working people deserve a voice on the job and that we deserve the final say. So I want to thank everyone who made this possible. You all are what makes Salisbury great. We earned this vote, and we look forward to once again getting out on doors to remind voters to get out and vote no on the repeal for collective bargaining to kill this terrible ordinance once and for all at the ballot box. I'll finish with this. When the late Kobe Bryant was asked why he wasn't smiling after taking a 2-0 lead against the Orlando Magic in the NBA Finals, he simply said, "Is the job finished? I don't think so. Remember to vote no on the repeal for collective bargaining next November." Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comments?
Joe Schiaffino, Salisbury. A lot of people have trouble with math, and sometimes the visual aid is very helpful. So regarding the downtown parking, we have an aerial photograph here from 2023. It says there are currently 276 vehicles parked there at that time. Now, today, if we look there, at the top of Lot 1, which would be at the right, Unity Square is there. So we already lost a number of spaces. The proposed development for Lot 1 is proposing 226 units. So if each of those units just has one vehicle, that's 226 parking spaces needed. Everything there is gone. Where do these 276 cars park? Think about it. Now, the city charter, there are parking space requirements. Now, the developers are maintaining there are no requirements in the central business district. But section 17.196.030 has a table at the bottom. And the very last entry of that table says, parking for proposed developments within these districts will be evaluated on a project-by-project basis with a recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Commission to the mayor and council. That never happened for any of these projects. Never happened. And it's a requirement of the charter. That's a dereliction of duty of the former mayor and the council people at that time. Now, disposition of surplus or unused real property. That's in the charter, section 2.36.020. Under objectives, section B, encourage the development of surplus or unused real property in a manner that will best promote and be in the best interest of the citizens of the city of Salisbury. That's every one of us, not just the developer. Nothing in the code talks about evaluating the price of the property, a fair market value. Charter section 16-2 says, additional duties and powers of the Director of Procurement. Section G, from time to time, recommend to the mayor and council the sale or other disposition of surplus, obsolete, or unused city property and obtain expert appraisals thereof, or estimate its value using his or her best information or judgment. In my investigation and my research, I can find no record of any appraisals for any of those lots that were sold. So, real quick, let's take an example, Marina Landing. We all know the city purchased that in 1988 for $1.2 million. They sold it in 2023 for $1. Now, as an outsider, I cannot believe that the Director of Procurement went to that mayor and council and said, I recommend you sell that property for $1. I don't believe it. That had to come from the mayor, up above, from the mayor and the council. I don't think she had any hand in that. Lot 10, where the flea market used to be held, was sold for $75,000. That was purchased in 1964, according to what I found on the deed, for $325,000. Lot 30 sold in 2023 for $10,001. That lot was made up of 8 different parcels that the city purchased between 1984 and 1986 for a total of $357,500, and they sold it for $10,000. The bottom line is the taxpayers of Salisbury have been screwed by their former mayors and council. They abdicated their fiduciary duties to the citizens in the city.
Your time is up, Mr. Schiffer.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening, Robert Taylor, city resident. I want to make one very minor correction on what Mr. Schiaffino just said. The 3 lots, 1, 11, and 15, are where the 220-some apartments would be built, not just on lot 1. The photo that he gave to you, I'm familiar with it. I didn't take it, but I'm familiar with it. The 276 cars were on all 3 of those lots on that day several years ago. Just a kind of a point of clarification, it was said that the referendum on the collective bargaining will be at the next general election. I assume that's the city general election next year, not the one this fall. Just wanted so people know that. And maybe a couple of things that could be explained to us tonight by the people from AXME. How many of the city employees are actually members of AXME that could be members? What's the percentage of that? I also have heard rumors that the petition that was circulated was paid, they asked me paid quite a bit of money. I understand it was up in six figures, I might be wrong, for people to circulate that. And while they're at it, maybe they could tell us how much the president of AXME makes, what his annual salary is. These will be some things that will be coming out before the election, folks. A little bit more time here. There was some discussion tonight about the machine to clean the pond, the cost of it, and the comment was made, I think, by a couple members, it's tight budget, we don't have a lot of money. I might point out that one reason we don't have a lot of money is because we're giving up about $250,000 a year in property tax for the Ross. They pay next to nothing on that building. That's under our Horizon program. Now, if we stay with the Horizon program and this downtown development comes through, which would qualify for it, you'd have to approve it, of course, but it would be qualified, we're going to lose even more money, a lot more money, in property tax. Isn't it time that we canned the Horizon program? And you should remember, we're concerned about affordable housing. Well, those 220 apartments that I mentioned on lots 1, 15, and 11, if you'll remember, Mr. Gillis stood here at this podium a year or so ago and said, we don't want any affordable housing in our apartments. That's not our business plan. So we're essentially on the precipice of possibly waiving property taxes for somebody that's not even going to do affordable housing. Folks, it's time to kill it, in my opinion, so we don't have any developers coming in saying, well, gee, it was on the books. I thought I was going to get it. Now I want it. Let's just take it off the books, and then we won't be in that position. Let me see if I've got anything else here. I would say the flock program sounds very good to me. I think the police officers explained the public benefit of it. I can understand some general concerns about it, but frankly, I think it's something that we need. I talked to them out in the hall. It sounds like many law enforcement agencies are using this. The Wicomico County Sheriff does not right now, the Sheriff's Office, I understand, but I think they're considering it strongly. And it's one of these things, you're not going to stop it. It's like, when automobiles first began to, people were against them. You know why? They scared the horses. So, folks, we have to go with the punch, and this is time to do it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Try not to scare the horses.
Yeah, you do your best.
Mike Perunsky, City of Salisbury resident. Last week, I just wanted to make note of the fact that the Wicomico County Council passed or adopted a moratorium on data center development in Wicomico County. In the City of Salisbury, we really haven't yet moved towards that tract. I think we've maybe danced around it, but I want to really raise this issue and put it on your radar. I'm going to email all of you a draft resolution that I adapted from Howard County, and then I'm going to also include some of the language from Wicomico County in there. And part of the issue is I think we've taken, as a city, sort of a conciliatory position in terms of data center development. And what I mean by that is, in an effort to stay neutral, we've actually taken the position of a developer in that we're saying we're saying it's a by right use currently in our light industrial district. And I don't think that's a neutral position. I think that's sort of the exact opposite of a neutral position. I think it's a position of someone that would want to come in here and build. Now from my understanding, we're not going to add a definition of data center to the code, and the reason being, the exact reason why a data center is actually prohibited according to our code. So if you look at Chapter 17, in the general provisions section, basically 17.04.050 identifies that where it's not clear from the provisions of this title, being that this chapter in the code, that a proposed use is intended to be prohibited in a district, the provisions of that section setting forth the uses permitted in that district shall prevail, and if the proposed use is not one on the list of those permitted, it shall be prohibited, which to me, in the very plain language of our current city code, prohibits the development of a data center because it's not a specified use. Now, the code in the light industrial district that identifies the uses uses a term, data processing and computer center. This term was added to the code sometime in the early 80s, quite possibly before that. The NAB Center actually has records of this, but doesn't have records prior to, I think, 1983, at least not readily at their disposal. These are paper records. So when you look at the original legislative intent of, a data processing and computer center, the original legislative intent of that is not what we would consider a modern data center, which is a very novel land use in the way that we're seeing it across the country, particularly in small rural communities like ours. So I'm going to send that to you. I would really appreciate your attention to this. At the rate we're going now, it's just going to drag. So I would ask you to take this up with some urgency. Please come, if you can, to the Thursday Planning Commission meeting at 4 o'clock and participate in that discussion. And if not, take a look at this resolution and let's punch it up and let's get it to across the finish line as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Brandon Records, president of the Salisbury Career Firefighters, Local 4246. Didn't have anything planned tonight. Didn't know what was going to happen. But I will take the moment in front of everybody here, everybody watching. Despite my thoughts of what's transpired from the 3 yay, nay votes, however you want to consider it before, I thank you tonight for having the integrity to let this go forward and recognize the work that was done by our people over the past most of June. Thank you for being self-thinking, councilwomen. It was, I won't lie, there was some days where it sucked. It was triple digits, and we were out there, but through it all, we got to have some really good conversations with people. Like somebody else referenced, red, blue, independent, it doesn't matter. We had good conversations with people. I had a gentleman who was, as far anti-union as they get, and he signed because he didn't agree with it. So, like I said, I just wanted to take the moment, didn't know what was going to transpire, but I thank you tonight, at least, for letting the process go as it should. And to all of our naysayers who were on social media, podcasts, self-described legal analysts, it turns out that walking in the heat wasn't for nothing. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we will go to administrative comments.
I just want to mention one thing. If you hadn't been down to the park or been by the park today, we started in on the pedestrian bridge. It's partially demoed and will be probably finished up over the next 3 to 4 weeks. So it's going to be beautiful. And then from there, we'll start it on the lighting project, and it'll be October-ish. So it's going to be a good time for the park.
All right, thank you, Melissa. Councilwoman Holland.
Sure. There is something I want to say about this North Shoemaker annexation and saying I was deceived and I was gaslighted. when we had that meeting that day and we agreed to amend it, we stopped and asked our legal attorney to look into it. At the next work session, it was then brought to us that the developer would have to start from square one. And that meant go back with permits, go back with a plat. Ms. Boucher nor Ms. Blake deceived me because they said this can happen if the developer is going to have to start over. We agreed as a body to not have the developer start from square one, which is the reason that we kept this at R10A. So I just want to make it clear that our county attorney nor either council person up here deceived us or me into a vote because we discussed it in a work session, and it was made clear that we did not want to have to start from scratch with the process and that we were going to move forward with R10A, which is what we did. So I wanted to make that clarification first. Second, I want to say I did attend the Wicomico County Council meeting last week about the data centers and actually spoke for the Salisbury Fire and spoke on the nursing homes. Very packed meeting, a lot of passion in the room. It was actually a fantastic meeting, so thank you all. The third thing I want to say is, for the council, a lot of communication and a lot of requests we make are in email form. But I think that in order for the public to kind of see what's going on, some things need to be transparent. This is the reason I'm going to make this transparent. I received a list of vehicles that the city owns. There was no position with them as to who drove them. So I then went and acquired the take-home policy for vehicles. And so what my request is going to be now of administration, I would like a list of all the take-home vehicles in the city and who they're assigned to. I don't need to know about field ops, Salisbury Police. I know how the vehicles are leased, but I would like the list for all other departments that actually have a take-home vehicle, who it's assigned to. I want to have a better understanding of what's in our fleet and what these vehicles are being used for and exactly who's driving these take-home vehicles. So, Julie, that would be my request. I'm not going to put it in the email form because I have publicly asked, and I look forward to getting the information. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Gregory, Councilwoman Gregory?
I just want to say I had a great time at National Night Out. Thanks to the department for putting on such a great event every year. Turnout was great. It was hot and sticky, and I was hobbling around with my one little crutch. But it was a lot of fun. I had a great time. Was definitely sore afterwards, but it was worth every minute of it. It was great to see the community out there and see the kids getting really excited about the bikes. They just, there was one that was walking around, had a bright hot pink bike, and she was so proud of it, and I just was tickled with that. That was great. So I just want to say thanks again, guys, for putting on such a wonderful event, and it went great. And I have to say kudos for getting a helicopter to land. I was not sure it was actually going to be able to land, but they did it. So good job, guys.
Okay, Councilwoman Blake?
Just so people are aware, as a clinical social worker, the term gaslighting is not appropriately used here this evening. That's a whole different realm of how that's used. I did not gaslight anybody, but that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Councilwoman DeShields?
Here I go.
A list.
You all can make fun of
Put
me.
your seatbelts on.
Doesn't bother me.
Y'all thought we were getting out of here.
Yeah. I would like to extend a thank you to the Board of Elections, who, three of us were able to attend a meeting with them the other night, and they were explaining the cost that's involved in having a special election and the general elections, and they will be, presenting that to you as well. All right, I have to hop on Michelle. A shout out to Sergeant Hitty with the Salisbury Police Department. National Night Out, I was volunteering in the food tent. 2,000 hot dogs were cooked. Just thought you might want to know. And the other thing, the police department gave out approximately, I think I have the number right, Chief, at least 100 bicycles. So you talk about a ton of work, the vendors, everybody, it was just awesome. Currently,
It was 84.
84 bikes? Oh, good, thank you.
She said, I can't.
The other thing, I would like to thank the Salisbury Police Department again, as you saw the flock presentation here. One person has gone to their website, I noticed, because I could see who raised their hand. I challenge everybody in here to go to the website because it is unbelievably comprehensive, and it answers, in my opinion, every question you might have regarding the system. And it is for our benefit. I mean, we want to live in a safe community, and it's really funny because Lieutenant Caden, when he said, I just can't go put a camera up. He said, the legwork I have to do to find out if it's the property owner, where I can put it, is all those things he told you, that takes a lot of time. So I'm very thankful for that update they gave us, and they update it daily. I mean, really, that's amazing. The Academy Fire Department, Chief Frampton, their second academy started today, and I did have to laugh, I'm sorry, when all the 18 kids were all suited up, ready to go to their first event. I'm telling you, that's slowing off. My 5-year-olds move faster than that. And Laura is saying, let's move along, move along. But anyway, they did hoses today. They go through a maze. They were able to use the fire hose. And when you see an engine truck and you happen to see the gun on the top, the deck gun, that puts out 500 or, with adjustments, 1,000 gallons of water in 1 minute. Think about it. Talk about numbers. But anyway, so that was, the kids got to do that today, and they're going to take field trips to the 911 center. They're going to go to the diving when we have a dive team, which is amazing, and they were also medevac. I mean, they've got a great thing for this week. 18 children, well, young adults will have benefited greatly. Right, my airport meeting today. 2 things. First, graduating class from the maintenance out there is happening this Thursday at 1:30. Haley, I bet you'll be covering that. And the air service, just so that you know, Breeze, which is the new airline that's come in, they have a temporary seasonal pause on the Fort Lauderdale flights for the month of September. So those of you that are thinking of going in September, you might want to put it off or delay it a little bit. And for one thing, I think you want to know? That's it.
Look.
That's all right. The Carillon at SU is going to have a presentation on August 22nd at 6 o'clock in Red Square, or you can be on the balcony, followed by the Estonian Youth Strings Group at 7 o'clock in the Great Hall. So there you go. You're informed, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your time.
I would like for Shawana to stand up with this crab on her for real.
I told her when I walked in, it was the best thing ever.
You know what she said to me? She says, I'm coming in here with this to keep the humor. And she did, because every time I would look back there, I would have to turn my head.
There it is.
Thank you.
There it is.
Explain what it's for, Shawanda.
So today, so this week is for City of Salisbury and Spirit Week, so today's thing is
Merlin.
Merlin. So we got Merlin.
Yep.
Yeah, we got the memo too late. I couldn't order my shirt. But what I would like to say, July the 30th, I had just gotten back from vacation. Got a phone call. April, you need to get to your community, your district. It's a fire and someone is trapped. I got up, put my clothes on, ran around in a circle like a dog chasing his tail for about 5 minutes. Go. Got out there. Chief Frampton came to me, and we talked about some things in reference to the fire and the man who was critically burned. Just so happened I knew the man. I know him. I know his whole family and knew the next door neighbor who had damage done to her apartment as well. I commend the fire department, the investigators, the fire marshal, for doing such a marvelous job, even though you couldn't save him. You couldn't save him, and we should never feel bad, and I know we do sometimes, because when I got there, the young lady who stayed next door was distraught because she tried to bang in the window, and I think when the young man kicked the front door down, there was somewhat of a backdraft.
Oh, yeah.
That kind of like, he couldn't get in either. And they could hear the man crying and hollering and asking for help. And I appreciate everything that our public servants do. Don't you ever take for granted, Brandon, that I don't. I can only speak for me, that I don't, because I do. Because that was just one moment to bring everything back to my memory. I contacted the young man's family to let them know that he was being transported to Tidal Health, and from Tidal Health he went to Bayview Burn Center. And his brother called me about maybe 5, it was after 5, and said he had passed. We have a terrific team here. We do. We have a terrific team, whether it be fire department, whether it be police department. Our public workers, our administration, our supervisors are great. And we need to make sure that it stays that way. I thank you so much, Chief, for being there, staying there. I know that was part of your job. And you can tell the other gentlemen that I appreciate everything they did, because they were there. I was there till 3 and they were still there. And this happened about what time? 11:30, 12 o'clock?
I think it was 12:30.
Yeah, something like that. And I stayed there until like 3 to make sure everything was fine. And the families were, contacted, and the young lady that stayed next door was fine and got in touch with the necessary resources that she did. Now, I didn't get to make it to National Night Out or the County Council member meeting. I have a show now that's called Veterans Voices that is on PAC 14, and it's all about veterans. I left there, and I said, Michael, I'm coming. Well, on the way where I was going, because I was going with some of the gentlemen that had been on the show, I got as far as DPNL, so I can't go anywhere. I got sick. My head started hurting, and my sugar shot up to over 300. So I turned around and went home, went to sleep. Worst thing you could have done with sugar high. So I called Melissa when I did finally wake up. I said, Melissa, is the meeting still going? She says, no, it's too late. It's almost over now. So I didn't get to go to that. But National Night Out, I didn't want to miss at all. I didn't. And I didn't want to miss the county council meeting simply because that actual nursing home has been a rock in our community for years. And I can remember the sorority that made sure it was planted, the seeds were planted there, and they made sure they took care of, they supported that nursing home. I don't know what's going on with it right now, and I do know, but I don't know, because you get some truth, some not truth. But I will fight tooth and nail to keep that nursing home there. Tooth and nail, and I'm quite sure the community will. That is a very good nursing home. Wycomico Nursing Home is the best nursing home on the Eastern Shore and has been voted that for numerous years. So we're going to hope to see a turnabout there with that nursing home. A lot of people are leaving, a lot of people getting fired, and it's in chaos. So just continue to, whatever you can do, or any words of encouragement. And I think they're going to have another meeting. It's a town hall, August the 31st at 6 p.m. I'm not for sure where it's going to be, but I will put it either on Facebook, and I know we'll be back here before then to let you know exactly where it will be in reference to the town hall. And then again, I want to apologize for a news article that went out that was not completely true about the Haitian community in Purdue. I apologize to the Haitian community. If it was perceived wrong, I apologize. I will be meeting with the Haitian community to bring about some unity in our community. They've asked to meet with me, and I said, yes, I will. I will gladly meet. You know, I have no problem, and like I said, I have no problem apologizing about something that may have not been what they thought it was or may have gone wrong or whatever. I have no problem with, you know, making sure that that apology is sincere from my heart, that, hey, people do perceive things differently than other people. I'm not sure everything that was said, but what I could see, but all of it wasn't what I said, but I do apologize to the Haitian community. I understand, as Monica has said, they're being detained, they're being taken from their children are being left here with nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. And that's one of the saddest parts. They're separating families. And I don't think either one of us would want to be separated from our kids or our family. None of us. So it's really not a good thing. And I'm going to do everything I can do. I can't do too much of anything because it is on the federal level. But I will support the Haitian community as much as I possibly can. Thank you. And good night. This meeting is now adjourned.